When I look at Survivor Series, at first I thought WWE didn't structure the show very well. But as I had time to really think about it, there's basically two things I didn't really like about what happened on the show. Just two. In general, the show had good matches, no real character development, and more advertisement for Rolaids, as far as I remember, than anything else. But let's get to one of the two things I really didn't like. The 5-on-5 elimination tag on the kickoff show didn't need to happen. You could have had Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler on that show. Because of how the match ended, it's obvious. If anybody ever thought that the WWE ever believed that Dolph Ziggler is important, you just found his replacement right there on television. I'm being honest here. I still feel that Dolph Ziggler could be a transitional champion. He can be in the main title scene. He could be given some decent storylines, but let's be honest, he's not that great. But he could be if they gave him the opportunity. But they're never going to do it. They're going to always leave him as a jobber in the mid-card. And now, if anything happens to him, Tyler Breeze could easily take his place. Because when you look at the moveset between a Tyler Breeze and a Dolph Ziggler, you see almost the same kind of movesets. They are mirroring each other. It doesn't mean that Tyler Breeze is totally dull. He's not. But let's be honest. The show-off versus the pretty boy, you got pretty much the same thing. You got two guys who have similar type of characters, similar type of movesets, similar type of personality, generally. So if anything ever happened to Dolph, let's say Dolph Ziggler decides to leave WWE, they're not going to be hurting because they'll use Tyler Breeze instead. And that's kind of sad. To see that they found what they want, and there's a good chance that Dolph is not going to be seen that much because Tyler is going to take his place. But I felt that could have been on the kickoff show. As for the 5-on-5 tag, I felt the Dudleys did not need to be on the kickoff show. I'm sorry. I like the Lucha Dragons. They do good work. But in the other tag match, the Lucha Dragons could have been replaced with the Dudley Boys. I'm sorry, they could have. Because when you look at the Miz, Bo Dallas, Stardust, and the Ascension versus the Dudleys, Neville, who else? Goldust and O'Neal, you could have replaced the Dudleys with the Lucha Dragons and you would still get as much interest as you want. But when it comes to the other 5-on-5, which was the New Day, Sheamus and Wade Barrett, well, Bad News Barrett, versus the Usos, the Lucha Dragons did not need to be there. You could have put the Dudleys there to work with the Usos. And you guys tell me below, when it comes to the Usos with Jey Uso, is he really back in sync with his brother? Because I keep getting this feeling Jimmy's fine. Jimmy, I'm sure, has been working, but Jey seems to be really out of whack. I just don't know, and I don't know where to put my finger on it. I love the Usos. I love Uso, but there's just something about Jey that seems to be off. Now, I know that could be ring rust. He's been away for months upon months. And he may have come in cold. Even though he probably trained beforehand, he just doesn't feel correct. It just seems to be something wrong. And I just don't know what it is. For me personally, it's kind of upsetting me. Their match was fine. It was a good match. But you guys tell me below. Did both 5-on-5 elimination tags had to have the faces win? You couldn't have the heels win on the second 5-on-5? Because everyone loved the New Day. Everybody wanted a New Day. And that dude, that incredible dude that Xavier Woods was sporting was epic. I don't know, he made me think like a Don King, baby. But in the end, I felt they didn't need to job. I felt that the heels didn't need the job, but there was a reason for that. And you already know what happened in the match. I don't need to repeat it. Now, let's go to the other thing I didn't like. Paige versus Charlotte. This was in the middle of the show, roughly speaking. And that was stupid. The Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler didn't need to be there. I can understand if they had two. Well, if you're going to have two elimination tags, you could have broken up during the middle of the entire thing. You could have the elimination tag at the very beginning of the show, and then you could have moved the two matches that were the most important a little bit upper on the card. But Charlotte and Paige, and don't get me wrong, they're not 100% bad talent. I just feel like there was nothing there for them. And trying to use Red Flair, Charlotte Flair's brother, who did die the way he did, was horrible. But honestly, it just wasn't strong enough. The problem was it was not enough time to build it. There's no problem with trying to use a dead relative who was a wrestler himself in a storyline. That's to honor the family. That is. But the problem is that they say it at the very last week before the pay-per-view even happened. And it just felt empty. And then they pushed it and rushed it at the same time. So the WWE, instead of saying, okay, we got these two women who we let close the show, not be near the end of our pay-per-view. Sorry, I'm botching because it upsets me. Essentially speaking, they didn't leave them near the end of the pay-per-view. I'm sorry. I love The Undertaker. I do. The match I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But I felt they could have squeezed this in between the Undertaker and Kane match. Well, Undertaker and Kane versus the Wyatts. And Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. They could have put it somewhere in between. I really believe they could have done that. And I believe they deserved it. They deserve to have a special moment, to be near the end of the show, because that was a very physical match. It was. It was an extremely physical match. Doesn't mean it was a great match, but it was an extremely physical. They were trying so hard to sell this, but they're selling it at the 1 hour time, or 1.5 hours. And I felt that was the wrong thing to do. Seeing Charlotte lose, I'm not saying she lost. I'm just saying seeing Charlotte could have lost would have been bad. So Charlotte winning was the wisest thing to do. But where did they go with Charlotte? I really feel that Charlotte is not really ready for this position, because they rushed her so much just dealing with Paige that this is really not helping. Now, The Undertaker and Kane versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. I felt that was going to be Luke Harper and Braun Strowman. I'm not going to lie here. I really felt that that was the match that we're going to go for. But they chose to throw out there Bray Wyatt, which I felt he was in a total lose-lose situation. He could not beat The Undertaker because they've been sponsoring him and pushing him down our throat for the last month. Because they want to make it special for Survivor Series, because this is 25 years since he first appeared there. So he was going to be a jobber no matter what. But if they actually had allowed him to win, if they didn't push The Undertaker so much, I felt that he wouldn't gain anything from it anyway, because he didn't win the streak. He didn't get legitimized by The Undertaker. He hasn't been legitimized by Kane either. So in the end, he wouldn't win anything if he managed to beat Kane and The Undertaker. And definitely he was going to lose more if he was beaten by The Undertaker or Kane. But in the end, Luke Harper was the one who got his ass kicked. And Braun Strowman was left outside of the entire thing. And Eric Rowan had to go to the back. Why? Did he get hurt? And if he didn't get hurt, that just makes it even worse. You could have had a 4-on-2 handicap match, which would have made better sense, because they spent most of the time outside the ring anyway. So I'm not saying I didn't love The Undertaker. I did. I loved The Undertaker. I loved seeing that he got the recognition he deserved. The crowd loved it. And that sign that person held up was, "You don't got it, you are it," was perfect for him. He deserved that recognition because he more than has it. At 50 years old, The Undertaker is the WWE. As much as Hulk Hogan built the the WWE. The Undertaker going to the Attitude Era going on has built the WWE. Everything we know is based on the Undertaker, as far as I'm concerned. The Golden Age was Hulk Hogan. But I felt the Attitude Era wasn't Austin, it was Taker. And as much as I do love Steve Austin, the $6 million drunk ass man, I felt the Undertaker was more relevant than him. He just was. Now, let me see if I'm forgetting anything. No. In general, all those other matches are done. Now, oh yeah, I am forgetting one thing. Jillian Garcias. If I'm pronouncing her name wrong, I'm sorry. Jillian is a nice looking woman. She seems nice. She has a nice voice. But the opening of the show, I wanted JoJo. JoJo is a much better singer than she is. I'm sorry. If anyone believes Jillian is better than her, I understand. But I felt when JoJo sang, she's a way better singer. Unless she didn't want to do it or they didn't want her to do it, I felt it would have been better to put JoJo there. At special events, let JoJo sing because I really do believe she's much better. Because Jillian to me is good, but she's not great. I'm just saying. Finally, we get to this match. ADR versus Reigns and Owens versus Dean. Between the two matches, I'm saying this now, Reigns and ADR was a bit better than, not by much. They were both almost the same kind of match. But ADR and Reigns was a bit better than Dean and Owens. It was. And when you come to the very end of the show, and not talking about their interview, if the interview didn't happen, I think it wouldn't make too much of a difference. But the interview did happen and did give it a little bit more hyping, because these two guys are basically lowbrow type of people. They don't care. They just want to do their shit. Sorry for the curse, but you get my point. So their moment they had with JoJo was not very strong. It wasn't meant to be. But it was still relevant. The match itself was better than the individual matches between the other two guys. They had a very good match. And in the end, even though the crowd was screaming in certain points, they did not want Roman to win. There was so many people who was booing Roman parts throughout this match. And I'm going to be honest here. What's your problem? Roman Reigns is no better than Daniel Bryan. For the simple reason, the independent scene for Daniel Bryan, yes, he had years to build up to be the dragon. But the point is, he's a newcomer, no better than Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan was beloved by the internet. What's the difference between him and Roman Reigns? The WWE is already giving you what you wanted in a Daniel Bryan. This is what the WWE wants. So let them have their Roman Reigns. He pretty much is not much different than him. He's new, he's fresh. Even though Daniel Bryan has a little bit more movesets than him, there's no difference. So stop booing him already. I'm not a big Roman Reigns fan. I love Cesaro. I believe Cesaro in general is a better talent than Roman Reigns. Not because he can't perform in the ring. It's because he's been around longer and I feel more invested in Cesaro. That's just me. But it doesn't mean I don't like Roman Reigns. So seeing that he did win was alright. Even though I knew it was going to happen, I didn't think they were going to flip the script and let Dean Ambrose do it because they really buried him more than Roman Reigns. Let's be honest, Dean was hot 8 months ago. If they really wanted to put the title on him, that would have been the best time to do it. But in the end, they let him drop. And when Roman was out for a while because of his, he had a hernia, they could have done something with Dean. But that didn't happen. They left him with Bray Wyatt. That just built to a bad thing, and you can go from there. But seeing that he did do a good job, that it was special, that's something you don't need to boo your heads off for. Look, he eventually will get a little better, and he will win over the crowd to a certain extent. Yes, if he's another Cena 2.0, we're going to get another Cena 2.0 because the WWE loves a Cena 2.0. And they love the original Cena. So when you see this, it wasn't a bad thing that happened with the confetti and everything. Spearing Triple H fits his personality perfectly. But seeing that Sheamus was the one who cashed in and took it from him, actually was the wisest thing to do. You know why? Simple as this. Because Roman is so hated right now by the WWE. Well, WWE fans. I mean, that's the truth. That's the reason why I said what I said earlier. Don't hate him so much. They knew the only way they can really get him over is to simply let him dig his way from the ground up again. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be the authority with Sheamus versus the Empire Roman Reigns. That's what it's going to come to. And even if you still hate him, he's going to at least have some type of character development, some type of story arc, and at least he will get more time than you would normally see him have, and probably have more time in a certain sense than John Cena. And is that more important to you? Or is it less important to you? You can tell me below, who would you rather see more of? Do you want to see John Cena get a 16-time run again? Well, you know what I mean. Get 16 times. Or would you rather see a Roman Reigns who, even if he is going to be eventually a new Cena, he doesn't feel like it yet? So which one do you want? Do you want Cena or Roman Reigns? I'll take a Roman Reigns. He's not totally like a Cena. He is building maybe to a Cena, but at least it isn't the same. And I want that. The fall of the Empire and the rising of it has begun. The Empire fell in one day. But it soon will eventually rise again, and Roman Reigns will be champ. So I hope you enjoyed this Survivor Series 2015 review. Please leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up. Tell me if I'm doing anything right. I'm not wanting to be searched more, even though it would be cool. But just tell me I'm doing all right. Just leave me a comment. And watch out for my next debate of the week. This is going to be the second installment of TNA and my booking going into 2016. I am going to be doing maybe about five parts. I don't know yet. I might be doing 5, maybe 6. I think it'll be 5 because the last one will be the knockouts. But you tell me if you like what I'm doing. Have a good day and have a good night. Peace out!